America's Voice Special Report presents Dr. Gina Loudon.
Welcome back to the special report from America's Voice, coming to you on the coronavirus pandemic. Now, in the midst of this pandemic, it's easy to forget that there is an election coming up, and it's definitely been easy to forget about the Democrat candidates who had failed so badly to impress voters. But former President Obama emerged today to bravely endorse, well, his only option, the last man standing in the Democrat primary. Here's a little of his video message today that he released in his endorsement of former Vice President, his own former Vice President, Joe Biden.
But if there's one thing we've learned as a country from moments of great crisis, it's that the spirit of looking out for one another can't be restricted to our homes or our workplaces or our neighborhoods or our houses of worship. It also has to be reflected in our national government. The kind of leadership that's guided by knowledge and experience, honesty and humility, empathy and grace. That kind of leadership doesn't just belong in our state capitals and mayor's offices. It belongs in the White House. And that's why I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States.
Took you a little while, Mr. Obama. Anyway, here with us now, Women for Trump National Co-Chair and real estate guru, Katrina Campins. Katrina, good to see you. Katrina, it just must have been such a tough decision for President Obama to endorse Joe Biden now that everyone else has completely dropped out of the race. I think I tweeted something like it was about as hard for him to make that decision as it would be for a man dying in the desert of thirst to take that sip of sulfur out of a cup because it's all he has, right?
Honestly, it's so uneventful. You know, everybody was waiting for this endorsement. It's like, to me, it doesn't make a difference. President Trump's going to win. He's going to win no matter who he goes against. And Sleepy Joe, as he calls him, I just die laughing when he says that. I mean, the guy can't even remember what he's saying from one minute to another. So can you imagine Joe Biden leading us right now during these times? I thank God every day I wake up that we have President Trump leading us in this mess that we're in, and he's going to get us out of this. You know, I just did a real estate panel, and people were asking me, what's happening with the real estate market? What's going to happen with the economy? And I just, you know, obviously I'm saddened by all the people that are suffering by the situation, and I wish everybody health and happiness and speedy recovery. But I do know that President Trump is going to bring this economy back, and we're not going to go into a recession. We're not in a recession yet, and we're not going to go into a recession. And I think housing's going to be fine, and we're all going to be fine because we have an amazing leader who has guts.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the real estate because that's really where I want to go with you on that. All the political stuff aside, I see some trends that might be changing, and I don't know anything about real estate other than I really like to buy it. But you know, it looks like these areas where COVID-19 hit the hardest were those that were very, very populated, right? We look at New York City, it was hit the hardest, and even where it hit in other states, it looks to me like those were the most populated areas, and we've been pushed and pushed and pushed, especially by the left to pile into high rises and to city areas. And I personally live in a city. I like the cities. I lived in cities. Probably half the houses I bought in my lifetime were in the city. I like walkable neighborhoods, right? So I'm not saying anything against that, but the left hates urban sprawl. They always talk about, you know, how we're supposed to green up and we're not supposed to move away from the city. But I just wonder if you're seeing a trend to people maybe wanting to flock to the suburbs away from the cities that are potential hotspots for the next pandemic.
100%. And what we're going to see happen is that you're going to see people flock from New York City to Florida. They were already doing so before this. I think this is just going to escalate, and people are going to want to be in single family homes. I think so many people living in condos, a lot of my clients are going stir crazy. A lot of them have called me during this epidemic, you know, that's happening, the pandemic, I should say, and they are ready to buy a house. They're over it. Many of the condos have closed the pools. They've closed the gyms. These people are in small spaces, many times with their children, and they're not accustomed to that. And so at least if you have a single family home, you have a backyard, you have a pool, you can go out and actually enjoy nature. You don't have that in a condo. And with New York, even when things go back to normal or as the country starts to open up, do you think that people are going to want to be in New York City? Right now, they're not. And we're beginning to see a lot of people come from New York wanting rent here in South Florida.
Well, yeah, and not even to mention the cost. I've always wondered too about the filtration systems, the air. Is it recycled, or how am I breathing the person above me and beside me? Am I breathing their air if I'm living in the same building as them? I've always kind of wondered questions like this. I only have about 30 seconds left, but I wonder how these sorts of trends also will affect the next election. Are they going to vote for the guy who knows all about real estate and understands these kind of trends and can play along with the economy like this? Or are they going to want to vote for the guy who I don't know that he's ever invested or made a dollar outside the public dole in his life?
I mean, to me, it's just, this has been, President Trump's approval ratings have gone through the roof. He's speaking directly to the American people, and it's working. People now understand that he's in control. He knows about business. He knows what it takes to bring an economy back. He knows about housing. We're not going to find a better leader, and Joe Biden is definitely not the answer. I think it's a joke. I really think that President Trump is going to win bigger than he did the first time around, and I love campaigning for him, as you do, Gina. And it's just going to be amazing to see the turnout this time.
All right, find her and all of the great people active at Women for Trump. And also, if you're looking for someone who does real estate in the Miami area, there she is, Katrina Campins. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me,
Stick around
Gina.
for more of this special report coming up from America's Voice on the COVID-19 pandemic. We will be back in just a moment.